Hey guys, what's up? It's August 12th, so 1 week and 1 day after the release of Commander Masters, and what is typically supposed to be a safe harbor for card stores, Master Sets, is turning out pretty bad. The prices have sunk very, very low. I know you're all aware of this, but I want to put some of it to video for the future in case we ever come back to this. So today, set boxes. Now, I'm not going to talk about draft boxes. I think those will go lower. They will eventually go well below wholesale and be available in great quantity for a long time. So we're just going to talk about set and collector boxes of Commander Masters today. Set boxes, wholesale costs $330-ish. That's the small card store price in the US. If you don't have much buying power, much leverage, you buy small amounts. It's what most card stores are going to be paying because most card stores are not doing thousands and thousands of boxes a month. So $330 wholesale. That means the break-even price after 12.5% market fees, after about $10 to ship in the US. The break-even price to sell on a marketplace like TCG Player or eBay is $390. It's just eye-watering how much you'd have to sell those for to break even as a small card store. And the current price today, as I went out there and I looked before I started filming this, was $279. That was the lowest price I could find between eBay and TCG Player. Yeah, your neighbor's cat might have it at $275. You might have a place for $270. It doesn't matter. We need reasonable, middle-of-the-road prices off of big marketplaces, and we need to be consistent about where we're taking prices from over the long term so that in the future, if we ever come back to these data, they are comparable to each other. So that's why I just take the lowest that I can find off of eBay and TCG Player. Collector boxes, wholesale price about $180 for the average small card store in the US. Break even off of that is about $220 they needed to sell for, and the current lowest price over on eBay, $169. So selling $50 below the wholesale price, and those set boxes were selling $110 below the break-even price. So $50 below break-even for collector, $110 below break-even for set boxes. And now, boy, those are great prices for us. And you have to realize, why are you here? Why are you here? Are you primarily a collector, a player, or an investor? And I know we are all a mix of those in different percentages. And if you stumbled upon this channel and this is your first video from Final Trade and you're like, what is this guy yakking about break-even prices and wholesale? I don't care. I just play this card game. Well, if you are mostly a player and you just want cards from Commander Masters to play with, you need to buy singles. If you want any cards to play with from any game, any TCG, buy singles. You should never be opening sealed product to get cards to play with. And there is a small argument someone might be able to make to me, and I'm not even sure how the economics would work out, and I don't care to waste the time trying to build a model of it to see, but if somebody came to me and they said, Craig, I love Standard so much, I play Standard 4 nights a week at my LGS, I love Standard, and so when a new Standard set comes out, I buy 1 or 2 draft boxes in order to fill in a collection of the cards so I can brew decks and play Standard all through the preposterous 3-year rotation, then I would say, yeah, you know, maybe that's kind of a good idea, because if you bought 2 draft boxes, you would get a 4-card play set of probably every common, most uncommons, and, you know, you'd get a nice number of mythics and rares in order to fill out and brew decks with and play with. And, you know, if you love Standard that much, then you probably have a bunch of evolving decks that need to be modified slightly for that new expansion. And you might make a convincing case to me that it is reasonable to just go ahead and buy a couple draft boxes. Maybe. But that's the only time, if you need cards to play with, that you should be buying sealed product. So all of the collective social media negativity about how expensive this product is, you care about that if you're a player. You care about that to some degree also if you're a collector. But let's talk about the collector standpoint. There are a lot of people out there who just want to collect a binder with a complete set of every expansion of Magic. I see those orders come through across TCG Player where somebody will be ordering 55 different cards, 1 copy each, all from the same expansion. Either they suddenly discovered an expansion 8 months after it released and they're updating all of their Commander decks with just that expansion, or they're building sets. Could be either one. And to those people, they might might be able to argue, well, first off, they shouldn't be buying anything until the set's about a year old, so that the TCG expansion life cycle has drugged down the single costs and drugged down the sealed product costs. So they shouldn't be buying anything for a long time. But they might be able to make an argument that buying one set box would be economical, because you would get most of the commons, most of the uncommons, and you get, a nice amount of rares and mythics. Maybe that could be economical at the right time. Beyond that, as a collector, you probably should never be buying sealed product. Who should be buying sealed product is us weirdos as investors. We're the only ones. And so when you see all this social media negativity that, WotC has made the prices too high, and it's, the wholesale price of the set boxes was $330. It's just insane. Yeah, I mean, it is. It is insane. And the wholesale price of the collector boxes for 4 booster packs, it's $180. It's $45 at wholesale for a collector booster pack of 15 cards. That's $3 per card at wholesale. Yeah, it's nuts. But we don't really care as investors. Yes, we care about the price we pay, but we don't care about the price WotC charges at wholesale. We don't care what the prices are doing pre-release or on release day, because we can take a longer term view. We can take a view towards, when can I buy these? Because I'm not sitting around here chomping at the bit to play with a card from Commander Masters. If I were, I'd go buy the single. And so I don't really care that WotC charge ups the prices and doesn't post an MSRP, and the wholesale prices go up, and in summer of 2022 they raised all their wholesale prices across the board and all that stuff. I don't care, because I'm looking at this from the standpoint of, what is this product? It's a master set. It has, therefore, de facto, already proven itself to be full of desirable cards. That's how WotC knows how to look out at the secondary market and say, how can we extract value from people's collections in the secondary market? They go and they look at what cards are valuable. The cards are valuable because there are not enough copies of them, because people bid up the prices, because people want to use them in decks. Maybe some people want to collect them if it's some odd variant, or it's something that's never had but one foil version printed or something weird like that. But they are already winners as cards. And so in the long term, they will continue to be winners. Yes, WotC will extract a bunch of equity from the market by reprinting them and selling them, but the way that you avoid getting burned by that as an investor is you don't buy on pre-release during times like this. During bearish, during neutral to bearish market times in the Magic market, you don't buy on pre-release when you expect the price to fall after release. And so all of the and I don't want to say it's whining, because it really is justified. People who primarily play Magic, yeah, they've got something to be upset with. It's getting way more expensive, but the card quality isn't improving. There's problem after problem. So those people, those complaints are valid. But we don't care as investors. We don't care, because we will bide our time. We will say, has the TCG expansion life cycle yanked the cost of the sealed product down sufficiently? Or do I wait a little longer? Do I wait for a bonus buck sale? Is the price difference between marketplaces enough that maybe it's cheaper on eBay today than it would be on a bonus buck sale in TCG Player? Other sources, local shops you have agreements with where you'll buy out stale product that they just want to dump off the books. You don't have to buy at the insane prices. And so a lot of the consternation over Commander Masters about it being so expensive is not applicable to us as investors. We will wait, and we don't care. We don't care that people were paying nearly $400 for a set box 3 weeks ago. Today, it's $279 on eBay. And I would say that is approaching or maybe already reached the point of being too cheap. Now, I'm specifically just talking about the set boxes. And the reason is, if it gets down to a certain point, card stores will look at those set boxes sitting on their shelves that they paid $330 for at wholesale, and which at today's current price of $279, they stand to lose $110 per box if they sell it on TCG Player or eBay. They're going to look at those boxes and they're going to say, that's $110 if I sell that box. And they're going to say, you know what I could do? I could crack that box into singles, and maybe I'll lose $20, $30. Essentially, they'll put some extra work, some extra labor into the box, cracking it, sorting it, fulfilling orders, selling singles. And in return, they won't lose as much money. Or maybe they'd actually make money. It just depends. A lot of that comes down to the variability, how many boxes they open, the market, how much have the singles crashed, how many other stores are dealing with the same predicament and busting boxes. But my point is, set boxes of Commander Masters cannot simply continue to go down indefinitely. And this is one of those kind of fallacies that a lot of investors have until they've been investing in things for a long time, and it's the straight line fallacy, and it's this idea that they zoom in too tight on the price history of an asset, and they say, well, gee, 3 weeks ago, and I'm just making up these numbers, 3 weeks ago, a set box of Commander Masters was selling for $400, and today it's selling for $279. Well, I guess 3 weeks from now, it'll be selling for $150. And so they just draw this straight line on the plot. And they don't consciously stop to think, but wait, as the price changes, that induces changes in other market participants' behavior. For one, if the market price goes too low, a lot of stores are just flat going to say, I'm not selling lower than that. Maybe there are a lot of stores that would say, I'm willing to lose $50 per box, but I will stubbornly dig in my heels and I will not lose $100 a box. Or they'll say, past the point of losing $50 per box, I'm going to crack it into singles. I'm going to get back what I can right now. Because those stores may be looking at a scenario where, say they're willing to lose $50 per box, but the current market is $279 and they'd have to lose $110 to move the product. And so they know they can't close that trade and actually lose $50 per box right now, because that's not where the market is. That's not where the bid price from buyers is at. And so they say the only alternative is to either sit on it for who knows how long, we don't have time machines, and wait for a $50 loss in the future, or bust the box into singles, sell it today, maybe take a $50, $60, $70 loss today, but they can move the cards today. And that's something that a lot of people, a lot of investors don't understand about businesses, is there are a lot of times in business where businesses are willing to lose money on the short term because they know, well, I can turn that money around, I can go to my distributor, I can put it towards Pokemon 151, and I can probably turn that for a profit in a couple months instead of holding on to these Commander Master set and collector boxes that are so far down below what they're willing to sell at now that they would have to sit on them, tying up that capital for months and months and months, an unknown amount of time, in order to start turning that money around and digging out. And so that's what people don't really consciously take into their mind. They kind of naively think, well, this will just keep going down. Card stores will keep stomaching ever larger losses because I've heard all the players over on Reddit complaining about how expensive the cards are and how they hate the set and how it's terrible and it's overprinted and there's no equity and all of this. But as the price goes down, that will change the behavior of market participants. And so there is not a unlimited amount that these boxes can drop. And I would say at $279, the set boxes are already too cheap. Card stores will start breaking them open. And when you see that sellers like P-Football Pete and Flipside Gaming and Cataclysm over on eBay are all selling in that range of 270s and 280s for the set boxes, that tells you where the low points in the market are. Because that's $10, $15 below what dealers over on TCG Player are willing to lose right now. And those three dealers I named on eBay, those are some of the biggest dealers on eBay. And they will lead the market downwards because, well, P-Football Pete is a distributor pretending to be a retailer. And so they have the pricing power to lead the market downwards. And at some point they will say, I'm not willing to price it any lower. Now, probably P-Football Pete is still making money at $279 on eBay. He has special arrangements with eBay to pay much lower fees. When I put up an affiliate link to a sale from P-Football Pete, I don't make any commission on that because he's paying such small fees to eBay that eBay will not cut me any affiliate kickback for that. So he's getting special, he has a special relationship with eBay because of the volume and because essentially he's a distributor. So don't get too caught up in this idea of the straight line fallacy of price driving sentiment where you look out and you see all the complaining from mostly players, minority of collectors, and you as an investor internalize that bad attitude. Don't get caught up in that price driving your sentiment where it's come down $100, $120 in the last month, and you think, man, it must be a horrible product. Because like I said, it's a master's product. It's already chosen on the basis that these cards are winners. And in the long term, most of these cards will continue to be winners. You know, when we go back to Dominaria Remastered and we talk about Force of Will and Sylvan Library and the Tutors, those are never going out of style. Those are incredibly powerful cards from a time in Magic when the game developers did not really understand the dangerous power they were putting into the game with some of those cards. And that's why things like Force of Will is restricted in so many formats, and Demonic Tutor, which was not reprinted in Dominaria Remastered, is so restricted and in some formats banned because it's too powerful, and instead they have these other tutors stand in its place now, Vampiric and Enlightened and Worldly and all the others. They are great cards, and they will continue to be great cards. And the same thing goes for something like the enemy fetch lands in Modern Horizons 2. Yes, Modern Horizons 2 is printed to oblivion, and in the years to come, it will recover because fetch lands are never going out of style, and WotC will never reprint them in Standard, not just because of the inability to collect that sweet reprint equity via Standard, but because it horribly unbalances the Standard format, and they become staple cards for every deck. But those enemy fetch lands from Modern Horizons 2, yeah, they're what, $15 to $20 for all of them now? They'll eventually recover. Modern Horizons 2 will go out of print. The supply will tighten. The TCG expansion life cycle will start that right hand of the curve turn upwards over time. And as investors, we have all the time to wait. We are not card stores sitting on ever melting inventories of singles trying to move them. We're not worried about those things. We have patience. And as an investor in anything, patience is the best thing you can have because you will not time the market. You will not know where the bottom is. You will not know that 2 years from now, the market will be down from where it is today. It's folly to believe you will. But over the long term, if you simply buy great assets at a good price and you hold on to them, then you will succeed. That's how you succeed as a long-term investor. That's what I've done for nearly 20 years in the stock market, and it's done very well for me. So don't be discouraged about Commander Masters as an investor. As a player, yes, it's a horrible sign for the future of Magic, the fact that the boxes were priced so high at wholesale. If you are a card store owner, God help you. Because, man, WotC decided that instead of pulling money from the end buyer and letting some of it go to card stores and some to distributors and some to WotC, they decided they would pull money from the end user of the cards, the collector, the investors, and the players, and they would pull a lot of money from the card stores too. And that's effectively what they've done by pricing these sets so high at wholesale. They've vacuumed a lot of money out of card stores. And, you know, if you're a card store, yeah, you have every right to be pissed about it. WotC done you wrong. But as investors, these are the kind of situations that we love. These set boxes are selling $110 below break-even price, $50 below wholesale price, and we are only 8 days post-release, and it is a master's product. This is a wonderful time to be an investor in Magic. So don't become overly negative. Don't stay negative too long. I don't know if today is the time to buy. I don't know when it'll bottom. I don't know where the bottom will be. All I know is that when the market presents you an opportunity to catch the falling knife, you absolutely reach out with both hands and you start slowly catching that knife over a long period of time. And what you'll end up doing most of the time in your investment life is you will be buying on the way down and at the bottom and on the way up, and you won't really know it until later when you look backwards at the price history, and maybe you'll buy it at, you know, a couple little local minima, but you'll kind of sweep through the moving average of the bottom. And that's what you should like to do, because people who say, oh, well, you know, you missed the bottom, or I'll wait till the knife hits the floor, that's all nonsense. It's fallacy. Nobody knows when the knife has hit the floor and when it is safe to pick up, as they say. So you have to reach out and catch the falling knife, and that's how you make the most money in the long term as an investor in anything, because you don't know when or where it will bottom. We don't know, could these set boxes of Commander Masters go down another $10? Sure. Could they go down another $20? Yeah. Could they go down another $30? Maybe. But again, there's going to be that pressure on the other side of it of card stores who say, I just can't lose $140 on every one of these boxes. I will break them instead and get back what I can and slowly sell off the singles over the course of years. And so you can't expect that they will go down and down and down. So don't wait too long to buy. The way you do well as an investor is you buy too soon. And that's one of those long, hard lessons that you learn over decades as an investor in anything. So collector boxes, man, $169. I should go out and buy some. So maybe we'll get a bonus buck sale and, it'll be even juicier. Maybe we won't. Maybe it's worth going ahead and buying 1 box of each, 2 boxes of each, maybe a third of whatever position you want. And if we get a bonus buck sale, go ahead and fill in the rest of the position and then move on to worrying about the next thing. And don't worry about grabbing every dollar off. Don't worry about catching the knife right at the bottom, picking it up off the floor. You'll miss it most of the time if you try to do that. Reach out as the knife is falling and catch it on the way down. So I guess in conclusion, Magic, it's not going away. It's probably not losing its spot as the number one, at least North American TCG in the next decade. It's got the biggest network. It's got the most support, the most players, the most collectors, the most investors, the most card stores that sell it, the most distributors. It's printed in the most languages. It has the longest history, the most expansions, the most play formats, the most keywords, the most highly refined rules, the most marketplaces, the most people in the secondary market. It's got everything in its network, and all of those nodes in the network bring marginal value to every other node. And so it's very difficult to displace that. And yes, I know WotC is making a bunch of dumb decisions. There's a bunch of idiots in the business side of WotC running the things right now. But it cannot last forever. The idiots cannot last forever. Eventually someone will come in and say, things aren't living up to the metrics we would like, and maybe player base is not growing fast enough. Eventually something could change, but the other part of that coin is that WotC just had its best-selling expansion ever with Lord of the Rings. Literally 7 weeks ago it came out, the best-selling expansion in 30 years of Magic history with Lord of the Rings. And earlier this year was the best-selling standard expansion ever with Phyrexia. And so essentially from the business standpoint, what they're doing is working. Players may not like it, players may complain, but everybody keeps pouring buckets of money into the Magic Network as hard and fast as they can, full to the brim. And part of being an investor is that we hope to one day pull out little bits of the value from the network by trading the sealed boxes and the single cards and the graded cards and the reserve list cards and whatever else you have for little bits of value, taking that out of the network. And so that's the most important part, is Magic has the biggest network. It's not going anywhere. It's still absolutely investable. And, maybe you have a bad attitude about Standard, the future of Standard, the investability of Standard products. And yeah, I can agree. I've pulled way back on how much Standard I buy since Dominaria United last October. But the reality is, over the long timeline of the last 20 years, even Standard booster boxes of Magic beat the S&P 500. So let me know what you think, guys. I know people get, and I get this way too, I'm not saying I'm above it, but people get very emotional over their investments because the money they spend on an investment represents a small part of their pathetically short life that they will never get back, that they probably worked at a job they hate. And so they get very emotional over what goes on with that investment. But people also have this unrealistic view that every asset they invest in should go up in value every day. And that's just not the reality. The reality is we don't know where asset prices will go day to day. But for the most part, on the long timeline, asset values go up. Zoom out a stock ticker for the S&P 500 to whatever the maximum it shows, typically 10 or 20 years, and you can see, oh yeah, there was that great financial crisis. It was like this little time where stock prices went down and then they kept going up. And the same thing happens with TCG products, with Magic, with Pokemon, even with Standard Magic, they go up over time. And so don't be bearish too long. Don't get caught up in the emotion of social media, and make sure that you understand who you are in this. If you're an investor, you're a collector, you're a player, primarily, we're all mixes of all of them. But understand how those different roles that you take on in this ecosystem affect you and affect what different inputs in terms of prices, in terms of box values, in terms of set composition, and all those things mean to you. Let me know if you have any questions, guys. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Funnel Trade. Join the Patreon.